State, the most central, the most central concept in political science. It is justice, it is justice or it is state. It is either or, right? You can understand importance of state in political science by a debate, right? In political science, I am just giving you this anecdote, and will understand the things in more detail in comparative politics. But in state, what happened was political scientists started declining idea of state. They started thinking that we should not understand state, right? With that with that ignorance of state, there was decline of political science as we see, right? We are going to see decline of political science as well, political theory as well. But we see crisis of identity. We see decline of subject of political science because political scientists ignore state, right? This is the importance of state in political science. You ignore state and you don't know what concept you are studying, what discipline you are studying. If right, if I say this is the Venn diagram of all social sciences, right? Social sciences, we will have similar concepts across public administration, we'll have similar concept in sociology, and we will have similar concept in political science. What differentiates political science is study of state, right? This much is importance of state in political science. State is the central concept in political science. If you don't study state, if you ignore state, you will not understand political science at all. State is the backbone of political science. State is one of the two pillars of political science, other being justice and one being state. Political science is built on foundation of state and justice. All other theories are built around it. So this is the importance of state. This importance of state was explained by the scholar known as Garner, and this is a very beautiful quote. This beautiful quote says that political science begins and ends with state. Why I said this story? If you ignore state, you have crisis of identity with respect to political science, because this is a very good intro. If question comes on explain the concept of state, you start with this. By ignoring political science, subject by ignoring state, subject itself faced decline, right? Or you can start with something like political science, and political science begins and ends with state, right? So the centrality of the concept of state we have seen. If you ignore state, you don't know which discipline you are studying. If you ignore state, we have seen crisis of identity in subject of political science, right? So the centrality, the importance of state in political science we have seen. Now we have to understand what is state. What is state, right? Big question mark is what is state. How do you define state? How do you define state? State is an unit of government. Is state an unit of government? It is state the depository of authority. Is state the collective life, or is state the governing authority? Is state the government? Is state the nation? What is state, right? What is state? State basically means state basically means authority which is needed to which is needed to recognize collective life. We recently have seen Lasky and not Lasky, Austin's very big quote, right? We have seen Lasky. Sorry, I'm I'm saying Lasky again and again, but we have seen Austin's this quote that if a determinate human superior, not in the habit of obedience to like superior, then this human superior is sovereign, and such society is political society. What this this quote means that if a society has to be a state, there has to be an authority which rules over this society. If a society has an centralized authority, then that society is state. What is the difference between disciplines of sociology and political science? It is state. It is state. This is sociology, this is political science. The difference is state. A society which is ruled by a central authority is a state. Right? A society which is ruled by a central authority is state. Now this the statement I made, the statement I made. A society which is ruled by central authority is state. Right? Now this statement has a lot of components in it. What I said this thing. A society which has central authority is state. Right? Right? Now understand what components this statement has. A society and a central authority. So what a society has? A society must have a territory, right? Society must have society must have people. There should be land and there should be people, and when these people interact with each other, it is society. Then there is central authority, which means there should be a government, right? And state, which symbolizes sovereignty. So what are features of state, or what are components of state? Features or components of states are this: people, people, territory, government, and sovereignty. Sovereignty, right? People, state, government, and sovereignty. So this is state. A society which has central authority is state. Central authority in a society is state. That is it, right? State in political science, you see, state in political science is an umbrella thing. It is a overarching thing, right? Right? This is a very bad drawing of umbrella, but let's assume this is umbrella of state. Within this umbrella of state, you see justice, you see equality, you see rights, you see liberty, you see every concept there is. It is within this umbrella, right? State is umbrella concept in political science. State is overarching concept in political science, right? State is multidisciplinary multidisciplinary concept of political science. Disciplines within political science fall within concept of state. So state as a concept is very broad, right? If a state as a concept is very broad, people will have different point of views on state, right? Like people like Aristotle will say that state is self-sufficiency, right? Aristotle has given teleological view of state, whereby he says that man starts as an animal and ends with state. State is pinnacle of human development, as we have seen in Hobbes. Sorry, Hegel, not Hobbes, Hegel, right? So state is an institution which fulfills all of your needs. There are some needs which are fulfilled by society. There are other needs which are fulfilled by family, but all of your needs are fulfilled by state. So state is self-sufficiency according to Aristotle. Then there is Hobbes, who talked about state as sovereignty. He talked about he says that state is sovereignty. Then there is Weber, who talked about state as an entity which has monopoly on use of violence. Monopoly on violence. So there are multiple point of view on state. So the state itself is not very fixed. State has constantly been evolving, re-evolving, rediscovering, right? State is not constant. It has been in constant evolution. So we have to see evolution of state as well. Evolution of nation state. Evolution of nation state. Right? How evolution of nation state happened? How evolution of nation state happened? Right? Societies across East and West. West, I mean Europe and Northern America, and East, I mean India, China, Japan, the colonial states, the colonies, right? The direction of evolution of nation state in first world and in second world, in West and in East, has seen two different trajectories. Evolution of nation states in West, right? They were tribal societies. West started with tribal societies as anywhere in the world. Tribal societies then turned to city states. Tribal societies turned to city states. City states then turned to Roman Empire. Roman Empire disintegrated to form nation states. And these nation states has formed entities of transnational governance, right? Governance which is happening outside borders of nation state. These nation states has formed entities like EU. This has been the evolution of nation states in West, where West started with tribal societies, then city states like Athens. Athens was a city states. Sparta was a city states, right? Then city states I am not able to remember. But if you are free, you can watch stories of Hannibal and all those people. You will understand about statesmen. I'm not able to remember, but recall, but that is there, right? Tribal societies, then city-state happened like Athens and Sparta. Then there was consolidation of city-states under Roman Empire, where Roman Empire controlled most of the Mediterranean. Roman Empire disintegrated to form nation states on basis of race, on basis of culture, on basis of language. And these nation states today has formed transnational governmental entities like EU, European Union. So this is evolution of nation states in West, right? In East, in Orient, or in colonies, how evolution of nation states happened, right? We'll take example of India only, right? We'll take example of India only. So India was a tribal society, right? Tribal states. India was a tribal societies, tribal states. Then happened Oriental empires. What does Orient mean? Orient basically is a word for, right? In political science, if you see West, East, in political science, you see developed and developing. In political science, if you see Occident and Orient, colonizers and colonies, these are same terms. West means developed world, West means Occident, West are colonizers. East is developing world, East is Orient, and East is colonies. Right? Going back to evolution of nation states. So tribal states were there. Then came Oriental Empire. Oriental empires like Mughal Empire, Maratha Empire in India. These are Oriental empires. Empire of Guptas, Empire of Mauryas, Empire of Ghori, Empire of Delhi Sultanate. This empire came. Oriental empire like this. These Oriental empires, Mughal empires like Mughal Empire, were subsumed under colonial states or British Raj, right? One country using another country as its colony, right? British Raj. When British left, when British left, situation became the India became a post-colonial state. Post-colonial state, right? This has been the evolution of nation state in third world. We are going to understand post-colonial state in more detail. Understanding it now doesn't make much sense. We'll understand it with theory of post-colonial state. We'll understand Hamza Alvi. We'll understand uh, uh, dependency school, right? We'll understand Samir Amin, Edward Said, all those people. A.G. Frank, right? All those people will understand. Right now, what becomes important is just understanding how evolution happened. In in West, it happened like this: tribal states, then city states, then Roman Empire, then nation state, and then transnational governance. In Orient, it happened like tribal states, then Oriental empires like Mughal Empire, then colonial states like British Raj, and then post-colonial state that is India today. Right? So, so to start the theories of state, I will start with the first theory that we read in every topic, which is liberal theory of state, right? When you read the word liberal, when you read the word liberal, very naturally, two or three people should come to your mind. Locke, Mill, T.H. Green, right? And some ideas should come to your mind. Whereby liberal will talk about economy, classical liberal will talk about economy, modern liberal will talk about welfareism, capacity building, right? And and understand in those theories what should be the position of state, right? In classical liberalism, what do you think should be the position of state? In classical liberalism, in which capitalism, economy is more important thing, then state will be limited to law and order. In modern liberalism, whereby welfareism becomes important, the state will be more involved. It will do welfare of its citizens, right? So, with respect to the original tenets of a system of thought, you can understand how state will be placed in that theory, how state will be placed in that thought, right? So, in liberal theory of state, first we will see what is the origin of state according to liberals. Origin of state. What is origin of state according to liberals? Right. There are two traditions. Both of the traditions we have seen. It is either social contract, which forms state, or it is either evolution, which forms state. Evolutionary theory. Social contract we have seen with Locke, Hobbes. We have studied social contract of Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau. Evolutionary theory is of MacIver, right? How does state form? Locke will say Locke will say that it is contract of all with all. Hobbes will say it is contract of all with all. When people come together and form a contract, that is the origin of state. What does evolutionary theory say that? Evolutionary theory says that state evolved as a result of various institutions, right? Society started. Society, for a well functioning society, we needed multiple institutions. Institution 1, institution 2, institution 3. The multiple institution for economy of power, making exercise of power cheaper, came together and formed state. This is what MacIver says. There are two point of view in origin of state in liberal theory. First is social contract. Second is evolutionary theory. What social contract talks about? It is basically it is basically people coming together to form state on some basic principles. On some basic principles. And what evolutionary theory talks about is basically society needs a lot of institutions for functioning, for for basic functioning, for law and order. To maintain order, society needs some institutions. When these institutions evolve, they form state. Right? What is the origin? It is either social contract or evolutionary theory. Right? Then then what are the functions of state? Right? Classical liberals we have studied. First point of view on functions of state is by classical liberals. For classical liberals, what is the most important thing for them? It is the market. and market which is running on principle of laissez faire, right? Laissez faire principle. Market which is running on laissez faire principle. So what will the classical liberals will say about state? They will say that state should undertake only those functions which are essential to it, that is maintaining law and order. State should undertake only function of law and order. They work on maxim, they work on dictum, they work on idea of classical liberalism. In classical liberalism, state works on idea of minimum government, maximum governance. Minimum government, maximum governance, right? Then the other point of view on function of state is modern liberals, right? Modern liberals talk about welfare state. They talk about welfare state. By welfare state, what they mean? That state should take care of you from cradle to grave, right? State should take care of you from cradle to grave. State should take care of your social justice, right? Welfare state then will be very much involved. It will be involved. It will not minimum government. It will not be essentialized to the function of maintaining law and order, but it will be a more involved government. It will take care. It will take care of many functions apart from just maintaining law and order. Right? What is the nature of such state? Nature of liberal state. Nature of liberal state. Liberal state is not a player but an umpire. Liberal state is neutral arbiter. State will state will basically keep everyone interest in mind and resolve conflicts. State will not be a player in conflicts. State will be limited to its original functions, and state is very much limited, right? For for liberals, state is a necessary evil. State is a necessary evil, as said by Thomas Paine in his book Common Sense. State for state for liberals is necessary evil. State for liberals is common sense. This was liberal theory of state. I hope you understood this. We'll start with Marxist theory of state. From we'll start with and we'll try to finish with instrumentalist autonomous, and we'll try to finish most of the theories of state as soon as possible. I hope this was helpful, and state and justice are going to be very instrumental topics in understanding PSIR. I hope this was helpful. I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much. We are finished. We are finished with liberal theory of state, and we are finished with basic idea of state. From the next lecture, we'll start with Marxist theory of state. Thank you so much.